Gentlemen, Alex, why don't you just, and we're doing David Roth today. David just passed last week. It hit the magic world like a ton of bricks and not a good one. And so we're all thinking about the magic we shared and learned from David. Why don't you just set up the first clip and we'll get going?
Yeah, I will say that this is the first one that seemed like it was otherworldly. I mean, all of David's magic is really just wonderful magic, but this one had an ethereal quality. There was something else going on here that couldn't be explained by like sleight of hand or any notions that I had of magic anyways, but it's really a wonderful thing. So let's get into this thing. And this is I think one of the masterpieces of David. This is the tuning fork. It's the one that BJ mentioned earlier. So let's have some fun here and watch the tuning fork.
An official David Roth show, unless I did at least one trick with a tuning fork.
We can't see it.
It's in the contract. I got to do it. So
Did you say you can't see it?
We can now. I would rewind it just a touch.
Let's do that.
The video is live for me now. Is it live for everyone else?
Yeah, it's live now.
All right.
Yep.
It really wouldn't be an official David Roth show unless I did at least one trick with a tuning fork. It's in the contract. I got to do it. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic to work for a room full of people that are so familiar with the tricks before you do them, but they don't mind seeing the tricks. I compare it to people going to see a rock group where they know all the words to all the songs, but it doesn't matter. They just want to go see the rock group. So this is the tuning fork trick, and I love this trick because it isn't really a trick at all. This is science, physics, acoustics, something I got out of a 17th century book on sound and echoes at the public library, little thing with a tuning fork and a glass. See, it said in this book, if you take a tuning fork, hit it on the table, you really can't hear anything. I can hit it all day, you really can't hear it because there's no amplifier, no resonator. It's just like a violin. If the little box wasn't under the strings, you wouldn't hear it 10 feet away, but the box is there, amplifies the sound, you can hear it. I will use this glass as an amplifier for the tuning fork. It's very simple. I'll take the fork, hit it on the table, take the sound, drop it in the glass. Of course, you won't hear anything until I turn the glass over and the sound pours out, obviously. So, take the fork, hit it on the table, take the sound, drop it in. It's in there, listen. Sure enough, you'd almost believe the sound came out of the glass. I'll do that again. You take the fork, hit it on the table, drop the sound in. Wow! You know, the really strange thing is that not only does it work with tuning forks, it even works with coins. $50, 50-cent pieces, silver coins. I'll do the same thing with the coins that I did with the fork, which means I drop the 3 coins in the glass, I shake the glass, that fills the glass with the sound of the coins. Now I can take the coins out, but the echo stays, and if I'm careful, I can pour it into my hand. And if you listen, sure enough, you'll hear those coins inside, but it's just like the tuning fork. It's only an echo, and after a few seconds, it just fades away. So, I rather enjoy that myself. I'll do it again. I start with 3 coins, I drop them into the glass, I shake the glass, that fills the glass with the sound of the coins. I take the coins out, but the echo stays. I pour it into my hand. If you listen, you'll hear it. But it's just like the tuning fork. It's only an echo, and after a few seconds, it simply isn't there. Some people even applaud again at that point. So the 3 coins have an echo, which lingers when I drop them in the glass. Just like the fork, I can hit it on the table, drop in the sound, and you'll hear it a few seconds later. Same thing with the coins. Drop the coins in the glass, shake it up, fills the glass with the sound of the coins. Take the coins out, but the echo stays. I pour it into my hand. Listen up. You'll hear it. Of course, if I shake my hand too hard, the echo actually takes on form. Substance actually becomes 3 more coins. That, they didn't teach that in the old book. No, I had to figure that out for myself, but I did. And as you can see, I have doubled my money. Of course, you know, there was one more thing down at the bottom of the page in that old book. It said you could take all 6 coins, put them in the hand together. Really. I'll even show them to you inside. And then take the fork, hit it not on the table, but on the glass, and just hold it near the coins. And for some strange reason, all 6 coins will vanish. Gone without a trace, and that leaves me with just the fork, the glass, and the echo.
It's gorgeous.
So good.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous.
The thing that's crazy about it is I remember how the sound in person, because I know, like, not saying that it's not awesome on the video. I'm just saying that it's like 5 times better in person, because it was like you hear the coin coming from the hand, so it confuses you. You're like, there, the coins are in, and like there is not a coin in there. You're like, what? It's so good. That trick is amazing. It's so beautiful, so great.
The tuning fork, it resonates in the room too, so you can't tell where it's coming from, right?
It's
And the
sound.
same thing with
He's
the
messing
sound.
with your sound trick. It's so great.
Right, the sound illusion is just so strong in this thing, right? There's nothing to backtrack to because there's nothing like it. You've never seen anything like it, right?
Yeah, when you fool your ears is so good, because then your brain really thinks that it has pulled the whole picture together.
BJ, would you guys say it's a tough one? I know it's a tough one. It's not meant to be a trick question, but would you almost say that is, if you had to pick one David Roth routine to sort of represent and get across the most of what you felt made him so amazing, would you say it would be that routine?
I will say that when I heard the news, yeah, that's a pretty good one too. When I heard the news last week, that was the one I pulled up. I pulled up the tuning fork first, because that's the one I have the most distinct memory of such a
it's the strongest
magic, and it transcends coin magic. I mean, yes, it's a coin trick, but it's so much more than a coin trick.
But it's just one of those deals where someone's taken something that was already great and just layered on top of it this presentation that just totally makes sense and makes the thing just so much stronger. Yeah. You know,
I agree.
It's just so. It's like
just looking at the book, even how it works. It's just so amazing. The whole thing is great.
Yeah, I mean, if at the end of your life you created that one beautiful routine that people will talk about forever, that'd be pretty freaking good. I mean,
You're doing good. You're doing good.
You know what I mean? Because it's pretty. I don't know what you'd change about that. You know.
No, it's pretty awesome. That's a great effect. It's so strong.
Yeah. But that's the thing about David, is that he's so prolific, right? He's got so many, and it stems from other stuff. He just sort of improved all the things that he took on and brought into his repertoire. He just elevated them, and those handlings became like the way you do those tricks, because David worked it out, right? It's really remarkable. You know, but hold up that book, DJ. Just the fact that thing has as much information in it at the time that book came out, right? That changed the world. That book came out in like 85.
It's so good. Yeah, I was just looking through the routine. It's so strong.
Killer.
Yeah, no, it's a masterpiece. And then the misdirection using the tuning fork as a, I don't know how detailed you guys get, but using the tuning fork as a wand, that's pretty sick. That's a good idea, because then
turns the whole thing on its ear at that moment.
Gets to do the Vernon wand spin
throughout the whole thing. Yeah.
He sets it up really well. You stop him following his palming.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with with that. So smart.
Absolutely wonderful. Now, David Roth was, known for the coin magic. It's really very interesting also. David Roth, he was a dear buddy of Ricky Jay's. He was Ricky Jay's stage manager. And like a lot of Vernon students, David Roth, you get the impression, David Roth spent an awful lot of time with material from these 1800s, really working at making that material play in modern ways, principles of deception and things. And you can really tell, sort of, I just remember Alex when he was doing that lecture in New York that we were watching, where he went on this riff about refusing to use the word spider grip vanish, right? It was a double feint vanish.
Right. The double feint. Let's get down to brass.
Call it what it is, This is from the 1800s. It's a double feint vanish. Marlowe and his spider grip. It was that kind of stuff. So now he's going to show us a ball trick, because he was practiced at the art of deception, and the last person to tell you that David Roth was only into coin magic would have been David Roth. So
yeah, it's amazing. I had to resist the temptation. Like, I wanted to get everything that he ever did that wasn't touching a coin, but it would have been overkill. And it's a lot of little clips, but literally he's doing every kind of magic you can imagine. There's clips of David out there doing this kind of stuff, and it's well worth a deep dive after we're done here. But let's get to this next thing. This is This is well, it's that Silent Mora ball trick with David's sort of handling and flair on it. It's really just a wonderful piece of magic, very deceptive, and you might dig out your set of balls later and play.
This is the lecture. This is the exact lecture we were talking about.
I think he says that in all of them.
This is like a McMillan. This looks like McMillan.
Trying to correct the record. It's a double faint vanish, please.
Right. Oh, that was in his lecture act from that decade.
I think so.
All right.
All right, let's get
One
it.
more note.
Get a
One more
kick out
thing.
of it. It's a little bit different. I'd like you to watch.
Yeah.
Lots of times there's really good stopping points for us to say stuff and interesting reaction moments and things to talk about during a routine. But you could really feel during the tuning fork like it would have felt really like it was breaking something to stop and pause and
It would have been
discuss.
stepping on the flowers almost. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we try not to do that when it's going to really be affecting the whole quality of the thing. So
Right here. Don't blink or you'll miss it. Because all I want to do is produce a ball. That's a little blue ball, the simplest of objects, little blue rubber ball. I want you to watch it. If I put it up there, it'll jump over to here. And if I put it up there, it'll jump across to here. And if I put it over there, you think it's over here, but it isn't, because sometimes the ball gets stage fright, goes into my pocket. Of course, what's really strange is if I set the ball on top of my fist, let it sink in and wiggle my thumb, the one ball becomes two. And if I set both balls on my fist and let them sink in, wiggle my thumb, the two balls become three. And when I have three balls, now I can start the trick. Watch. One ball in the hand. Two balls in the hand. Just two. One on top makes three. Of course, if I wiggle both thumbs together, one ball jumps back over to here. And if I wiggle my thumbs, another ball jumps back over to here. And if I... No, it didn't go yet. Nothing happens till you wiggle your thumbs. That's what makes it jump across. That's three. Let me do that for you again. That's one ball in the hand. Two balls in the hand. Just two. One on top makes three. Again, if I wiggle my thumbs, a ball jumps across for the second time. And if I wiggle my thumbs, the second one jumps across for the second time. And if I wiggle my thumbs, the third one jumps across for the second time. That's three. Let me do that for you again. You were
doing it again, doing it fast.
Do it to you like
One ball in the hand.
I love the
Two
pattern.
balls in the hand. Just two. Only two.
It needs a tuning fork.
One on top makes three. Now I can make
Yeah,
life
sorry,
easier
that
by putting one
direction,
ball away. That should leave two, but it
Get
still leaves
dangerously
three.
funny
Only
with
you really
something.
weren't expecting that, so let me do it again.
One more
That's
time.
one ball in the hand. Two balls in the hand. One on top makes three. Now I could put that one away. That should leave two, but it still leaves three. I know you really weren't expecting that. Let me do it for you again.
One more time.
That's one ball in the hand.
This is called the
Two balls
3-ball
in the hand.
bludgeoning.
Only two. One, two. One on top makes three. If I put that one away, it should leave two, but it still leaves three. I know you weren't expecting that. Let me do it for you again. That's one ball in the hand.
One more
Two
time.
balls in the hand. Just two. One on top makes three. If I put that last ball into my pocket, it should leave two, but it still leaves three, only this time it leaves nothing. The three-ball routine.
Wow.
No disrespect, but when you do this with your hands, you have to say, wow. Otherwise, it just doesn't count.
So that's a very, when you watch David Roth, very prolific, but I would say that that's a pretty common structural vibe in a lot of David's routines, wouldn't you? I mean, you could almost imagine that being the word ball replaced with the word coin. And you
50-cent piece, the silver coin.
a lot like it, Right, 50-cent piece, the silver coin. Little Joe. So interesting, David, he does the stuff so well, and he does it, you wouldn't want to interrupt him. You wouldn't want to interact or interrupt him. He's really, I feel like he was really of the formal close-up show school. But how about that patter, y'all? That's that patented David Roth patter.
You know, it's very reminiscent of like the 70s and 80s. It's just, you know, growing up as a kid, when I go to magic lectures or little conventions in my town or whatever, that's, you know, all the greats, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the ones that were doing it like professionally, they were doing that, and then they would have like a joke every time one of those phases would come. There'd be some sort of like cut or some joke or something, right?
Yeah.
2 balls. Just 2. Now, BJ, what's your take?
Whoa, my mouse isn't special.
It's interesting because there's kind of a musical thing happening, and you can't doubt that watching him do this stuff is captivating. And there's no doubt he's saying precisely what he's, you know, the rule book says.
Yeah.
You're generally speaking not supposed to say everything completely self-evident. But I'm guessing for some reason, BJ, you were feeling like it works for him, right? I don't know.
The difference is that he's highlighting the fact that he has a strong sleight of hand, I think. So I think he's very confident that his sleight of hand is going to be sufficient to carry the day. And no, I mean,
you know,
I admire it. You know, it's different because I build a lot more misdirection. I don't want people staring at my stuff, but it's like, man, if you have the chops to be like, yo, please stare at my hands. See?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, you know, it's like, that's kind of neat. Plus, he's also performing for magicians.
Yeah.
And I think that it's kind of strong to be able to go to a magician. You see this object, you know it's there, and then it's not. Then you're like, man, his sleight of hand is kind of strong, you know. So then I think he's really proving the point. I know it's old school that he has it down. Like he could steal the ball this way, he could steal it that way. And he's kind of showing off.
I wonder if he were doing the stuff at that pace, right? Without that, I wonder, because the shocks are coming so quickly, so intensely, because it's like literally effects per second, he couldn't make them any denser, like in terms of those tricks, right?
Yeah.
Effect, shuttle, shuttle, effect, shuttle, shuttle. And I wonder if people watching it would literally be too discombobulated to follow the effects.
In today's world, I don't think it works, obviously. We're not discussing that, right? We're not saying that that's translatable to a performance today, right?
I think we can talk about that. And the reality is that it is. We just had Scott on.
I think if I copied his pattern and I went and tried to do that, people will be checking their Instagram before I get to the second phase.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Oh, that's awesome. Let me check my update. Plus, I have this new. So, you know, it's like, I do think that maybe like it's too much.
Well, what you said before plays a part in it too, which is like he's performing for magicians, right? So the first trick I could see him performing for anybody.
Of course,
right?
That's a home
sit
run.
down at a cocktail hour or whatever. Okay?
Oh man,
this trick here is more like this is in my lecture.
Yeah, you're teaching magicians all the cool moves. Yeah,
and so I agree with everything you're saying. It may not exactly be comparing apples to apples in that way. I think this is more just like it's in the lecture because I want to show this handling or this or that, and it's not all worked out. You know?
And I would learn all those moves, but to be honest, if I were going to do that trick, if I were going to borrow that, I would probably borrow like the 2 to 3 strongest phases, and I would call it a day. Like, you know, appearing the ball. Absolutely. Okay, I have nothing in my hands. Here's a ball. Boom. Okay, 1 ball. Look, I have 2.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they're gone. Something like that would be my routine. But like, I would probably his move, but cut out like the whole middle section.
And I think that's what Scott did. If you go in the back room, for those CC members that are watching, if you go in the back room and watch Scott Adler's lecture, you'll see that he did what BJ just said. He picked all the best moments of all that and worked it together. And then in addition to that, he brought spectators in. So there's a person standing on either side of him, and they're holding a big scarf that's translucent. You can see through the scarf. So you see when the balls fall into the scarf, and it's balls in the net. But Scott also has, right, and he has jokes and presentation, and there's bits, and you know, it's all of the things you would hope that David.
No, Roth's routine is like an arrow. He's like, I'm gonna shoot this arrow, and it's gonna go straight through.
A guy like David Roth, most of us. I mean, I got to see David Roth do a few tricks on a bed when we were hanging out one night, but that's still not working outside the magic. The particular setup of a performance for magicians, which is either a magic lecture or a close-up show. Like he's on a riser doing table coin magic for like probably 50, 100 people packed in a little room. And the reason this is interesting is, we talk about doing magic on Zoom and how nothing comes back and everything. Well, you've never quite felt the oddness of doing a sleight of hand magic show that magicians want to come see. And so 100 magicians travel from all points of where they can, and they sit in a room, and you're up there on a riser, and you're getting ready to do magic that's supposed to happen like here, and you're supposed to do it up there. And a lot of times, as BJ used to tell me when he was giving me advice on how to maybe get a magic show booked in my life, he would say, sometimes if you don't toot your own horn, there's no music playing. And I think you can find when you're doing a close-up magic show for like 100 magicians who may be particularly good vibes, but more likely as not, they're just
Impress me
with this look.
That's it. Impressed
with that feeling, there's a real sense that it could be quiet, and that quiet could not be a good quiet. It could just be like tough. And so it almost sounds like David, he's got this pattern that allows him to put forth all the energy he needs to get through all of these effects. Otherwise, you could find when you're doing all that magic, it can feel a little weird and disheartening that magicians, they sometimes forget to act like an audience. You know what I mean?
Totally.
That's a good point. I never thought about that, to be honest.
Well,
Interesting.
it's an interesting.
Because I could see that. Because then it's like, I got to demo this next move, but I need a good context, and there's no real motivation because maybe magicians don't offer you any. So then you're like, well, I'm going to manufacture a motivation, which is you kind of want to see it again, don't you? But this time you believe that I'm hiding it. Because each version, you're making sense though, Aaron, because think about it. Each version, he slightly changed the slides a little bit to fool you if you followed the previous version. So in a way, he kind of tried to make it like more mysterious if you're following along. Like, oh, they probably thought I had an extra ball, so now I'm going to get rid of the extra ball. And you're like, wait, weren't there 4? So I
would even contend that the opposite is true. Right? The opposite is true. If you don't know the main deception of what's happening within that routine, if you don't know that main thing, like I think he's using maybe the fact that they know some things about magic, doing some of these other moves to make it seem like they're on the path, and then that other thing happens.
I think that's what I'm trying to say, basically. Like he's using that again. Like that's what he keeps like throwing things. But yeah, I know what you're saying exactly. It's so cool. I mean, in a way, he was trying to entertain an audience that was probably pretty difficult to amuse.
Pretty jaded.
That's magician's
Amaze me with sleight of hand. I've heard you're the greatest. Okay, cool.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he is. This guy, if you think about it, he specialized in coin magic. Now, imagine that even being said to a regular person. Like maybe if you're going in to see a vaudeville show and someone says you're going to see the king of coins, but already it's 100 years ago. I mean, realistically speaking, I think you'd find that if you had David Roth doing close-up magic at your party, which I do believe happened from time to time, my guess is you'd see a fire wallet, some card tricks, some coin tricks, a good coins across, and, maybe you'd see that one coin routine, but otherwise you'd see that distribution pretty distributed, just the way it would be in everyone else's act. And I think, I think we've seen that, it's like what we've heard about Derek Dingle, and the tricks Derek Dingle was famous for as a buddy of Roth's at that time. And then the tricks he would do in his walk around set, which are largely the same tricks Alex and BJ and Steve and myself would do. So when you're building this whole act's worth of magician's magic, there's an awful lot of it. You're in that situation that is really for that specific situation. And the presentation is just serving to keep the dream alive as you're moving forward phase to phase to phase. And that time you noticed it probably looked like it was a shell. Well, if you thought so, I'll try it again. Or else your magician's magic won't be well appreciated, right? And again, when we talk about these effects of repetition, BJ, we're talking about the magic way as it was understood in the Vernon era, before Tamarice had sort of codified it into a, I think, more artistically compelling idea than, hey, let's lead them down the garden path and turn the hose on them. And then let's do it again. And then let's 4 coins, And I think they kept it pretty simple and made the beautiful actual examples in the magic itself. Now we have one more, and I think it's a robust piece. And I'm so glad to know that David got to do this in the last few years, because it's hard to lose a magician that we all love.
And this sort of encapsulates a little bit of it all. And being able to see it in this beautiful production like this will give us all just one last beautiful look at the beautiful magic of this great man. So let's do this. This is really fun. I had fun putting this one up.
Hi, I'm David Roth. Some people say I'm their mentor, but I think I just helped them out with a couple of tricks. From the Magic Castle, I have several awards: Visiting Magician and Close-Up Magician, and the Lecturer of the Year award. And then I got a Creative Fellowship. That was a great honor. In the old days, coin tricks were short. You make a coin disappear and you pull it out of somebody's ear. I wanted tricks that were longer, more theatrical, so I created some original effects that nobody had ever seen before. A lot of people now do these routines and they don't realize it's my material.
Our next performer is a magician of the old school.
Really amazing.
I know, right? He's just putting it out right there.
Well,
a lot of people do my tricks and they don't know that they're mine. I think that's really fun.
who is this Allison Hannigan? She's really changed.
Yeah.
She
doesn't look as good without the red hair. She just doesn't.
Yeah. This was in the beginning of the Penn and Teller.
This is the limey version.
Sure.
I wouldn't use that terminology, but
Let me just remind you, we don't use camera tricks or false editing. Everything you see is as it happens. So please welcome the supremely gifted David Roth.
Thank you. Penn, Teller, would you mind please joining me at the table?
I can't wait to see it.
Good to see you. I have something I'd like to show you. These are U.S. Kennedy half dollars. I won't be using all of them, but 4 coins and a cup. Now, very few people know that if you hold the coins and the cup at just the right angle, there's something in that cup, and I think it's a coin. There are only 3 coins here. This is the first coin to travel from my hand to the cup. That leaves 1, 2, 3 coins left, and that's the first one. Please notice, I do not send them up my sleeve. They go straight to the cup. That's how the first one went across. Listen. And the second one goes the same way. Just 2. 2 coins have traveled, 2 coins left to go. Now, I'll be honest, because you guys know a lot about magic. And the only reason you didn't see these go is because it happened by magic. That was the first one. That was the second one. Watch the third one. Listen. Did you hear it? Me neither. Must be hush money, because there it is. So that's 1, 2, 3 coins in the cup. Last one's the hardest, because you know what I'm going to do? It's already done. And that's how we say 4 coins to the cup. And think, I didn't even use a magic wand. I don't.
All right, so we're 250 into the set here, right? Just checking it out. We're just did that's the first act was a coins across, right?
That's right.
And he didn't really even do that coins across like it was anything more than an opener to this set. He didn't even bring it home like he wanted to punctuate it. He's just getting off to the races. You know what I mean?
Right. Oops, hang on.
I wanted to just say that I love when there's somebody like this on Penn and Teller, like a David Roth or somebody of that elevated status among magicians. And I just love the way, Penn and Teller treat them, how they just love to be like, oh my God, I can't wait. Yeah, it's just really awesome.
You're totally right. And I know it's a little out of context, but it's so great because it elevates magic in front of the public. And that is so nice of Penn and Teller to do. I've always been super impressed that they've been able to share some of the spotlight back to their peers. That is super remarkable. Like, that's just great.
Well, I would say we should all give some ones to Penn and Teller. Excellent.
Yeah, no, definitely. They get the
Finest
love.
magicians in the universe. All right.
They're mentions. They're mentions.
It's nice of them, you know. It's super
They're
cool.
mentions.
It's a beautiful thing. And so let's see what happens here in Act 2.
Hang on one second here. I think I've lost.
Just on a quick note, since we wait for it, I love the cups, the coins across to the cup. That's like straight out of, like, you know, I don't know, maybe in France when magicians were doing magic or something. Like,
Hi, I'm David Roth.
goes right back to it.
And you think that's really more or less, if there's a cup around, go with that method, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Every time I've seen a street performer perform it, I'm always amazed how good it plays and how magical it is.
Mm-hmm. It's got that Capentro feel that we always talk about.
People really see the coin in their mind traveling, and, you know, back to the sound thing. Oh, that's kind of funny. I never thought about that. You know, they hear the coin land and they're like, "Fuck yeah, dude! I saw it fly. I don't know where it
Exactly
disappeared."
what they say.
And then it landed, and then I heard it land, but I don't know how it landed. But they see it in their mind, and they see the whole flight, and it's very magical.
And you know, I think that is a hashtag hot tip. Are we all set up, Alex? Do we have the right spot? All right.
Okay, let's get back into this thing here.
Wasn't it Downs? Yeah, Downs did a version of it too. I'm sure every coin person pretty much has a good version.
And thank you. I didn't even use a magic wand. I don't have a magic wand, but I do have a chopstick, which is almost as good. And with these coins and this chopstick, I will show you something amazing. One in the hand. Watch. Nothing's happened yet, but if I just make a magic pass and wiggle my thumb, that coin will change to a Chinese coin with a hole in the center. It isn't worth as much as these 3 silver coins, but it's still worth keeping. So I'll do it again with coin number 2. The idea is the same. It hasn't changed yet. But I just need to make a magic pass and wiggle my thumb, and that coin will change to a Chinese coin with a hole like this. 2 coins are left. I'll do the next one visibly. That means you actually see it change from a silver $half to a Chinese coin, just like magic. And watch the last coin change from a silver $half to a Chinese coin, back to silver, back to Chinese, back to silver again. And one more thing. I got the last one in the cup, give the cup a shake. They all change back to silver.
Now, this finale is something that we haven't seen before, and this is really, really wonderful. Watch close for this next part.
Now, you know, incidentally, just you really get to see the upside and the benefit of David's performing style just now. It was very, very clear from what we were just talking about, the patter-wise and everything, the way he was able to work with all of that strange and different kinds of energy with the TV and the audience and these guys. He was doing that act with the ingrained momentum of 30, 40 years. You know what I mean? Really a beautiful thing. All right. So a new thing coming up for now. We're into the meat here.
I think so. Let's do this. This is really, really cool. I'm not really sure. Well, let's just watch this thing.
All right.
You know, maybe I'm using too many coins. Watch this one, then these. 1 in the hand, and 1, 2, 3 in the cup. Now watch this coin, because it's gone. Really gone. Truly gone. Which means just 3. I'll do it again. Watch this one, then these. This one, then these. 1 in the hand, and 2 in the cup. Now watch this one, because it's gone. Really gone. Truly gone. Which means just 2. Watch the count. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's gone. Really gone. Truly gone. Which leaves just 1. Now, what do you do with a single coin? I can put it over there, bring it up over here. If I touch it to my elbow, it'll come over here. If I try to put it back, it'll come out over here, so I'll put it over there and make a jump across the coin. Drop it over there, and you think it's here, but it isn't, because sometimes they really disappear, but they never go far. There it is. I could always make it 20 times larger.
That was incredible to watch.
And
You
then
gotta
should
love
watch
a
the
jumbo
deliberation.
coin.
Is that his?
We
Is
should
that, is that his closer?
That was the closer, but they had the deliberation, and it's a wonderful moment for David.
Well, we
should
can
watch it.
Should we watch that first?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a minute. Yeah.
I saw that when your name came on the screen and when Penn and Teller saw who was going to come out, they both smiled. They must know your name. I know you're very well known and respected in this industry. How long have you been performing for?
Oh, since I was 10.
Wow, so 5 or 8 years?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And the trick you just did there, is this one of your own? Because I believe you have created a lot of tricks.
Oh, yes. That was all original material.
Wow. Some of your tricks are being used by other magicians, I know. How's it feel when you see one of the new kids on the block doing one of your tricks?
If they do it well, it's very gratifying. If they do it badly, I'm sorry I ever gave it away.
So, David, do you think you fooled them?
I think I fooled them with one particular part, the vanish at the end of the 3 coins.
Okay, well, let's find out what they have to say about that. Penn, Teller, what's your verdict?
David wrote the books on coin magic that we read. And seeing Spellbound and Coins Across and all those things done that well, that close, that beautifully, that perfectly, I think that because we read the books, we have a pretty good idea how he did most of the stuff. And I do not give a good damn. I'm sitting here next to Teller. I don't care. We have a pretty good idea. We have a pretty good idea because of his books. And I'm going to tell you, he fooled us. Wow. No doubt about it. There's no way we're going to do a different thing. That was beautiful, man. Absolutely just gorgeous. Beautiful. Teller always gets to me. I knew that, David. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It's sort of a beautiful weekend. Gorgeous.
Nice.
Right thing to do. It's the right thing to do,
I
right?
love the look on Roth's face while Penn was having that monologue.
Because he thought he was
like
about
this. He was just his face like, what you got? I love that flurry, man. I mean, that was what I was going to ask you guys when we asked you about the tuning fork. You know, that one theme to me is like
That's the one.
quintessential.
That's really the one. When I think of David Roth, it's that one coin routine. And to see it sandwiched in with that whole thing as a good TV presentation, that was, that tickled me to no end. I thought that was a really great tribute to David.
That was my go-to. That is my go-to routine, man. Like well, you guys know, that's me all day, that flurry. That's, seeing that at the end, I'm like, yeah, I know I picked the right trick out of all thousands because flurry is the bomb. When you produce a giant coin at the end, people's eyes can't believe it. I mean, they see the coin expand. They go, whoop. And I know it's happened to me because I've been on the opposite end where I didn't know how it worked. And then the magic happened and that coin goes whoop. It's the most magical feeling. It's really great.
And that's the best when you can actually have it done to you so you can understand what that is. So you can try to even just a little bit give it to
like if
someone
you understand it mechanically, you don't understand the magic. Like that's right. It's so magical when that coin just whoop. It's like a chocolate chip getting baked instantly. It's ridiculous.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's enough to take you back to when you were first, when you were a teenager, and your excitement about magic was getting deeper and deeper. And thinking back to the first time you saw that stuff, I remember certain emotional experiences watching magic, which I got to say we don't feel quite as often anymore to quite that extent. It's like that.
Yeah, the curse of knowledge.
It's important. Not only am I fooled, but it's important. This is me. This is going to have ramifications on my future plans. Important.
And the thing too, I think there's a lot of people like this, but the thing about David Roth is what you're seeing is life's work. That's his life's work. He's been focused on just his special kind of corner of magic for like, I don't know how many years, 50 years, you know, and he's just,
It's probably he said since he was 10, his whole
yeah,
life.
it might be,
68.
I don't know how old he was when he died. I'm
50
sorry.
years easy.
Yeah. 50 years easy. And so
Yeah.
you're seeing just a culmination of all that work and all that, you know, the thought. So just, you know, it's just amazing. Someone said he was 68. So, you know, it's just amazing when you see a real master like that at work.